13 souls stolen, one rescued from the refuse. A man barely past a boy, raised by bears of blood-soaked oaks. As love grows distant, cotton candy tastes so sweet. Lust and love, what's the difference? The badger jokes and steals, the world sneers and scorns. Blamed for their father's sins, innocent hearts drown in Dhampir sins.
Welcome to Dhampir Sins, Book 1 of the Sacred Beast series by Sarah Yuher. 4. Cursed Blood of Frostfang. Kieran was led out the back entrance of the 7 deadly sins to the alley. He took deep breaths of air, already feeling lighter and clearer. Fucking sex Nephilim, Kieran grumbled to himself. You could have at least let one of them blow you. Kieran glanced up at the Furian that leaned against the wall next to where the Dhampir was leaning. I have a girlfriend. Guys, don't get munched on like that when they're getting something at home, the Furian pointed out dryly. The Dhampir grunted in response as he stood up straight from the wall. He didn't look back as he walked away and headed for the west side ghetto. It was almost dawn as he walked the dirty streets, and he let his eyes relax as he wandered. Lucifer hadn't given him much to work with. Only that the Dhampir was one of the Frostfang bloodline and an incubus, which meant he would most likely be tall with black hair and copper skin. From what Kieran had learned in history classes back in school, the Frostfang Luris and Winterblade Lura both held the demon Yua's blood within theirs. This resulted in both families sometimes giving birth to incubi and succubi. Those children were always abandoned in the same way the people of the Snow Shroud Mountains left Dhampir children during Absalom and Nefarian's reign. The Okasan of the Ice Heart Snow Leopard clan was a succubus Lurin Nephilim that had been born and abandoned by the Frostfang family. Kieran turned down an alley, and the sound of grunts pulled him from his thoughts about history and Luris/Lura politics and customs. The smell of cotton candy was faint under the sour smell of the filth that littered the path. It was late summer, and the heat didn't help with the smell. Color bled from the world as Kieran stepped into the shadows and moved towards the sound and the scent of cotton candy. Incubi magic weakly threaded through the air with the feel of walking through a pine forest in the heart of winter. It was pleasant but nowhere near the strength of the sex Nephilim at the 7 deadly sins. The Dhampir Kieran had been sent to find was pressed against the brick walls, his dirty jean shorts down around his thighs, as the human man behind him thrust his hips. The human wore a hooded sweatshirt and sweats, the hood pulled up. He didn't want to be seen in this part of town, and a large dumpster hid them. Even under the filth, Kieran could see the sick pallor of the Dhampir's copper skin and the needle scars in the bends of his arms. Thinner than even Mr. Harrelson, the Dhampir looked like he hadn't had a decent meal in years. Tears left tracks in the dirt on his cheeks as they leaked from his tightly closed eyes. The slight scent of blood in the air let Kieran know he hadn't been prepared for this. The human grabbed the long black hair that was a matted mess and pulled the Dhampir's head back as he slammed his cock more erratically. The abused incubus cried out as his crimson and silver-swirled eyes opened wide. They swam with tears and the glassy haze of whatever poison he injected to dull the pain. He didn't want this, and he didn't enjoy it. It was a tasteless, joyless meal to keep him going a little longer. At this rate, he won't live past the fall, Kieran thought as he resisted the urge to interfere and waited for the incubus to finish this weak excuse for a meal. It didn't take long for the human to finish. And when he pulled away, the incubus slid to the ground. He pulled a 20 mira bill from his wallet and tossed it on the incubus. The incubus looked at it with glassed eyes that furrowed into a frown. When he held his hand out, the human snorted at him. Filthy excuse for a sex Nephilim like you? Be glad I gave you anything, the man said as he turned to leave. Faggot fanger. Kieran's fangs ached as they extended, and the color bled back into the world. The human made a satisfyingly girly scream as the much healthier Dhampir slammed and pinned him to the wall with a dagger to his throat. You abuse him and stiff him what he's owed? Fucking piece of shit, Kieran hissed and bared his fangs. I should kill you. The stench of fear filled the alley from both the human and the incubus. "What are you?" His pimp, the human, snarled even as his voice quaked with fear. "I am now," Kieran answered as he glanced at the incubus. "You. Grab this asshole's wallet and take out all the mira." The incubus hesitated momentarily before he obeyed with shaking hands, his glassy eyes wide as he fumbled the wallet out. The human was loaded, no wonder he didn't want to be found here with a dirty Lurisran Nephilim. "You're robbing me?" the human squealed. You'll what?" "Go to the police and tell them how 2 Dhampirs mugged you after you abused one of them." Kieran glanced at the gold band on the man's finger. The human screamed, and the sharp scent of piss filled the air as Kieran's fangs plunged into the man's neck. Blood rushed across his tongue like sweet copper lira, and Kieran moaned with his bloodlust as he fed. Kieran pushed away from the human and grinned as he reached down to pluck the human's wallet from the incubus's hands. He examined the man's ID before he tossed it at him. "Have fun explaining that bite to your wife, Mr. Wilson. Now get out of here." The human spluttered as he ran from the pair of Dhampirs. This section has been edited for TOS. Check out the full book on Amazon. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for chapter videos and updates on my writing. The other man looked up at him as he suckled on the tip and pumped the shaft with his hand to milk Kieran dry. The happy shine to his eyes made it clear he liked how Kieran tasted. "Thank you," the incubus said in a small voice as he tried to give Kieran the wad of mira from the human's wallet. Kieran pushed it back to the incubus as he put himself away. "That's yours. You got a name. Kage. Place to stay." Kage's eyes slid to the pile of filthy trash and blankets between the dumpster and the building's wall. The incubus had somehow built a nest for himself there. "How old are you?" Kieran asked. 19, Kage answered and frowned. "I think." Abandoned when he was young, Kieran thought to himself as he looked down at the pathetic sight. "You want to come with me?" Kage nodded. "Grab what you want to keep." Kage moved to crawl to his little nest and didn't bother to pull his pants up as he sifted through the debris. Kieran rolled his eyes and pulled them up, cringing inwardly at the feel of the caked grime. Kage hardly had any meat and looked like a skeleton with skin tightly wrapped around it. His shirt was filthy and hung on him, for sizes too big. It would have barely fit Kieran. The incubus pulled a dirty stuffed animal out of the nest, bringing out a baggie containing a spoon, a lighter, a syringe, and a smaller baggie full of white rocks. Kieran gripped Kage's hair and grabbed the bag from him. "No more of this shit if you come with me," he growled at the whimpering incubus. Kage nodded, and Kieran released his hair as he tossed the bag into the dumpster. He grabbed the incubus by his upper arm and lifted him to his feet. If Kage stood up straight, he would be only about 5/9, short for a Luris of the Frostfang bloodline.
Enter the world, but tread with care. Those roots remember every prayer. Carved from ash, from bone, from flame. The sacred beasts don't play your game. Here change comes, swift on silver wing, with dragonflies that bite and sting. Truth flickers soft and sharp as steel, and every wound must learn to heal. Don't come armed with hollow lore. This world won't let you fake the war. For those who think they understand, you'll bleed the fastest by your hand. So read and ache, be torn apart. These stories rise from broken hearts. With grit and teeth they scream and soar. You've never known a world like this before.